So, like I said, I arrived here in 2010. I arrived here to experience teaching in Korea. I had two friends, one in Ulsan and one in Pohang back then. So, after teaching 2 years in that underprivileged school, I decided to venture out of what I saw there, all the hardship that also really had a big impact on me daily. So I wanted to travel, and especially Korea, because Korea back in 1950s, 60s were in war and there were nothing. No economy at all. They were poor. So that's exactly in South Africa there are many still situations like that. People living in that really poor environment. Kids cannot go to school. Some kids go to school, and that was kids in my classroom. They came to school hungry. One kid one morning gave me a little note. The note said, from the mother, and really bad spelling. No sentence structure at all. It said, "Teacher, please give my kid a little piece of bread because I don't have money today to feed my kid." So that's what I dealt with every day. And it inspired me actually. It was hard for me. I went home many days, nights. I go to bed and I thought about this little kid going through all that trouble. And so many days I wanted to complain about stuff in my life going on. But looking at them, I realized, stop complaining. Your life is fantastic. You shouldn't complain. Count your blessings. So I wanted to know, why do Korean students have such high academic achievements? And in such a short period. From nothing, build up to what it is today. The best technology in the world. Fastest internet. Super smart kids. When Korean kids go to the States, they enroll in a public school there. They're top in math. They get top scores there. So why do they get those scores? We need to ask ourselves, what can we learn from Koreans as well? We often come here thinking we're going to come teach English now. But we can also take something back to our own countries, something we learn here. So in the picture you can see, I eventually met a Korean guy just before my second year contract in Ulsan was done. 3 months before, I met this guy. We were friends. He introduced me to Gamdo, and I did some Aikido. He convinced me to sign up for it because he knew I was leaving. So he said to me, before you leave, experience a little bit more of the culture, do something. So I jumped in and I started doing Gamdo. It wasn't easy, but it was fun. Luckily, it was the instructor, the coach, now he's my brother-in-law. So that was a good experience to me. I left in December, and this guy, he said to me, please give me your email so that we can still contact each other. And I said to him, okay, I'll give you my email. Then he said, as soon as I arrived back in South Africa, so I'm done with Korea. Literally, I did my 2 years, I wanted to go back, I wanted to get back into university, study politics, get right into high up ranks, government official. I wanted to go fight. I wanted to change the education system. At this moment, South African education system is not doing that well. They keep on changing and changing and changing it. So teachers are called paper pushers, because that's what we do every day. So I really want to jump in and get teachers back on track, get them back into teaching, passionate teachers. So eventually, this guy, he sent an email, only one line, what's your number? Okay, send my cell phone number to him. He called me right after the email. So this daily conversations, phone call conversations happened for about 3 months. 2 months in, he said to me, this is really expensive phone calls. You better tell me now, what is this you want? Do you want to come back to Korea? Or are you just play with me, decide now. So naive, young, typical female mind, I say, well, I said to my mother actually, luckily not to him, I said, well, if he wants me, he can come get me. Fly down to South Africa, come get me. My mom said, oh, that's a very stupid thing to say. You better go back and teach. Get to know him more. If you tell him to come get you, that's a done case. You need to get married then. Rather go back, teach another year. So I went back to the same Hagwon I was before, because I love my director. She's here today. Anyway, I learned from the best. So now you can see this is me, 7 years later. I've got 2 beautiful kids and my husband, who's super supportive. He's my voice many days. When I struggle to get the Korean out, he translates. When I struggle to understand, he translates. If I cannot go to church on a Sunday because the kids need to stay home, then my husband comes home, he puts the sermon on TV and he translates to me at home. So good things happen. Anyway, I never thought I would marry Korean, but that happened. So some of you are naturally born teachers. Teachers with education degrees, fun teachers, diligent, logical teachers, better teachers than others. That's a fact. So this guy in the picture, his name is Benny Furi. Benny Furi is a South African. Obviously, I'm going to use a lot of South African examples because that's my frame. So I hope you guys can still relate even though you're not South African. So Benny Furi, he was in Ulsan a few years ago. He helped a lot at the international church where I belonged. We had some Sunday school classes. At the church, English Sunday school classes, he was busy daily teaching. And on Sundays, he also offered up a little bit of time to help with the Sunday school. While he was here, he wrote a script for a movie. That movie will be showing in South African theaters December 8th. So this guy wrote the script here while he was teaching here. He went back and he's one big shot actor and screenwriter. He even directs sometimes. Young guy. So I just want to tell you it's possible. Sometimes you are here not really because you want to be a teacher here, but there are other things that you want to do. Pursue those things while you are teaching. You can do it. This guy, he did it. So you can go, he's an Afrikaans speaker, so he made it big in the Afrikaans section of the film industry. The movie's name is Vuil Wasgoed, it means dirty laundry. That's the name of the movie. There's a Benny, and there's a little bit of an outing we had with Sunday school kids back in the day, near Tewa River. So I myself, I come out of a family of teachers and ministers. I studied education. Still, this does not make me the best teacher. So you don't have to be a teacher to be a good teacher. You don't need an education degree. Just get passionate about teaching and you'll be great. So then what makes a great teacher? This is what I believe. The love of teaching, seeing it as a hobby, the sense of satisfaction you get through the accomplishments of your students, your compassion and connection with your students, your diligence, logical thinking, and your young at heart approach to teaching. You as a role model. So that gets us to the topic today. Let's all team up and work together as a community of foreign teachers here in Ulsan. Let's become role model teachers. Let's see teaching here as a challenge. Not to improve the general level of English speaking, but to be true to ourselves as good people, trying to make the world a better place. Qualified or not qualified teachers. Let's become philanthropists. So back in the day, in my steel container, I had 50 grade 3 students, but I never gave up. I gave it my best. 6 months in, the principal of the school asked me to become head of the foundation. That means grade 1, 2, 3, I had to run all of that. I had to take care of the teachers, the students, the curriculum, all of it. If the government, the education office came to the school, checked up on things. I had to give the answers why we are doing what. So many of the teachers at that school were unhappy that a white teacher got that position. And I understand that because of the history we have in South Africa, the apartheid. However, I did give my best and I tried to include those teachers in everything I did. So the teachers did sign a petition against me, against the decision of making me head of foundation phase. The education office came in, they sat in my class for a week. They graded me, and after that week, they said, she can do it. Please, teachers, follow her. Take hands and work together. Make this school a better school. Do it not for yourself, do it for the students of the school. And things changed at that school. The day I left that school, the school's name was Rainbow Primary. The day I left that school, they sang a song, it's a Christian song, bind us together, Lord, bind us. And I was crying, I was sobbing. That was when I left to come to Korea. So really that experience, it really had a really big impact on my life. Okay, so I'm here to challenge you today. No matter what the situation you find yourself in, even if you don't like teaching, no matter how badly your director or co-teachers treat you, even though your students don't want to study English, and that is the case mostly, be true to yourself. Do your best in the now. That is teaching in Ulsan. You are here now. So carpe diem. Seize the day and seize it in your way. You don't have to always follow everything. When you start following like a robot, that's when you lose your passion for teaching. Take whatever your director asks you to do and then color it in. Be creative. You can improvise. So teachers as role models. What is a role model? A role model is a person who inspires and encourages us to strive for greatness. Live to our best, to our fullest potential, and see the best in ourselves. A role model is someone we admire and someone we aspire to be like. So the 4 keywords here we have: inspires, encourages, admire, and aspire. And that's what I want you to do today. You are going to inspire, you are going to encourage. From today, this is what you are going to do. I'm challenging you. And then eventually your students will admire you and they will aspire to be like you. Firstly, ask yourself, who inspires you to greatness? Why does this person inspire you? Okay, I'm South African, so who's this? What's his name?
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela. Who can read the second word there? His full name, please read. Oh, you're good. Are you South African? Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. Maybe I'm not perfect.
Lala.
So he's an anti-apartheid revolutionary, political leader, president of South Africa from 1994 to 1999, and a philanthropist. We all know he received the Nobel Peace Prize as well. So he's my inspiration. My first interview for the public school I got into in South Africa, I used this quote in my interview. There's a little bit of South African history. As you know, we had apartheid. White people did not treat blacks as equal, and that's why we still struggle today. We are still recovering from all of the bad we did. I should say, I really want to change some of your minds. I'm not talking to South Africans now. Many people from other countries, they learn South African history, and then they categorize white South Africans as bad people. I want to tell you, my grandmother was fantastic. She lived on a farm. They were farmers. What did she do? She had a school. She ran her own school. She educated the people working on their farm. My mother played with those kids on the farm. Those people living on the farm, down in Cape Town, that means the most southwest part of South Africa, they didn't even know really everything that was going up north of South Africa, the north parts. Johannesburg, those areas. So Do not categorize everybody in the same category. The same thing I always tell foreigners when I meet them here. You go and say, Koreans are like this, but you lived only in Ulsan. You can say Koreans are like this if you have lived everywhere in Korea. Because a South African from Cape Town and a South African from Johannesburg are quite different. Even the accents can be different dialects. So do not go back to wherever you're from and say, this is what Koreans are like. Ulsan Koreans are a little bit more conservative than Seoul-nites. So we should be careful. Okay, what is the definition of a philanthropist? A person who seeks to promote the welfare of others. What is the definition of a teacher? A teacher is a person who helps you solve problems you'd never have without them. Well, we do that to the kids. Is a teacher not a philanthropist? Are we the ones who actively promote the well-being of our students? In this case, Korean students? Ask yourself this. Every day when you are teaching, do you promote the well-being of your students? Do you inspire, encourage? Do your students admire you, aspire to be like you? So many times in life, and especially me, myself, I get myself into big things. That's just my personality. Like I'm standing here now. I bit off more than I could chew. And you know this line out of the song, maybe this song, Frank Sinatra, My Way. While I was teaching at this school back in South Africa, underprivileged school, almost daily I played this song on my way home or on the way to school, just to keep me on track, just to get myself psyched up. So this is my way. I use songs. When I'm down, I play a song, I start dancing, I jump up and down. In my private space, nobody sees me. That's what I do, and I feel happy after that. I'm teaching my students now to do that as well. Later we'll get there. Honestness. Inspire. You must get to know each and every student individually. I'm not going to go into all the details. You can read fast if you want to. So appearances matter. We always think, oh, Korean directors like to choose beautiful people because that helps the business. But you know what? Not only in Korea, in South Africa too, a little grade 1 kid likes to have a beautiful teacher. That's natural for us to be like that. But kids, eventually, they see into you. Even if you are the most beautiful teacher in the school, and you do not have beautiful heart inside, the kids will know it. Kids are very fast to know those little things. So it matters, but it doesn't always matter, right? Learn names. So many of you sometimes give some English names to your Korean students. I do not like to do that. My mother gave me the name Liesel. Liesel comes from Elizabeth. My name has meaning. It means a gift from God. So my husband is Korean. His name is Ji-hwan. Jihwan, Ji-hwan. His name means countless grace. His mother gave it to him. So I'm not going to call him Johnny. He's not a Johnny. He's a Ji-hwan. So I want to encourage all of you, do not give English names to your Korean students, unless the kid has a name that when you pronounce it, it sounds like a swear word, because you do have cases like that. I've had a kid like that. But it's even worse to me if you call 2 kids in your class Mickey and Mouse, or Tom and Jerry, or a Ricardo. They don't look like a Ricardo, and it's not even 100% English, is it? So be careful on naming your kids just random English names. Try to pronounce the Korean names, try to memorize it. Share goals. I like to do this in the beginning of the year. It's almost January, so I want to inspire you. Make a special lesson. Ask your director, you're going to do this because you are going to get the kids on track. After you get them on track, you are going to use the book like she wants you to do or he wants you to do. So what are you going to do? You are going to get a list of goals for the kids. Share them. Encourage them to make goals. And then Work from there. Put it up on the wall somewhere so they see it daily. Get to know families. In my school, one of the boys, he said to me, his father left to go work abroad. He has never come back. So I think maybe mom and dad got divorced and the father is not there anymore. It's important to know these things. So we don't just teach about this is the family, this is the normal mommy, daddy, and the kids' family. We need to be sensitive towards our kids. There are also many Korean couples nowadays. The mother works in Seoul, the father works in Ulsan. Mother travels to Seoul and come back on weekends. They call them in Korean Jumal bubu. That means weekend couple. So there are kids like that in your class as well. They miss their father or they miss their mother. So they are gonna maybe act a little differently. If you know this fact about the kid, you might treat them a little differently. You might respect them a little more or be a little bit more encouraging or sensitive towards them. So try that. If you don't know much, go ask your Korean teacher to give you some advice. Ask her, is there anyone in this class that I need to know, something special about the kid? And then you keep it a secret. You just use that for improving your teaching, your instruction. Share personal artifacts or even some pics from back home. I have a teacher in Mahalwan. He knows everything about the kids. He knows the games they play. He even tries to play them himself. He has daily educational English conversations with the kids. Then get to know the culture. I'm going to read this one. Relate more effectively across cultural lines. Awareness of our own culture is important because it can keep us from projecting our values onto others. By projecting, I mean the universal tendency to think other people are doing something for the same reasons we do. This can happen when we are unaware of the values that drive us and unable to distinguish them from those held by other cultures. We are like a fish in a fishbowl. The fish swims inside the bowl surrounded by the water and glass, but unaware of their presence. Most important, the fish does not realize these substances alter its view of the outside world. Our culture is like that, water and glass. We see the world through a distorted screen created by our deeply held, often subconscious values and beliefs. So one of the things, be careful when you say to the kids, hey, look me in the eye. When I'm talking to you, look at me. That is not Korean culture. So it's easy for us to say to the kids to do that. But Koreans have a different way. When they did something wrong, they look down because they're ashamed of what they did. They do not face their parents, their eyes. So there's a different culture there. It's exactly this fish in the bowl situation. So if you didn't know that, from now on, don't tell them to look you in the eye. Or first teach them, this is the English way. This is our culture. Do you understand that? And then you can use that in your classroom. But be careful to be too harsh on them when you do that. Korean monoculture and homogeneous society. I want all of you to get a little bit active. I'm just speaking. So can you read, please? 1, 2, 3.
Which generally means they are not so receptive of other cultures, especially of languages that play the major part in understanding one's culture. Living in a monocultural society, speaking only one language hinders Korean students to understand and utilize other languages. In fact, they do not see any need to speak other languages but Korean. Thus, it might be natural that you feel teaching Korean students are harder than kids of other countries.
Continue. One more. I need a break.
Korean is kind of stuck in the middle of China and Japan. For their survival, Koreans had to fight, which brought forth a sense of pride in them throughout the years. To boost their pride more, the government internationally taught them how great it is for Koreans to maintain and keep their cities pure. A lot of you might heard statements from kids saying Korea is a great country because we have 4 seasons. By the way, my husband told me when he went abroad at the age of 25, he thought Korea was one of the few countries that have 4 seasons. We have our own language that is super. Korea is a peninsula, not an island. You might start wondering. You might even want to answer them that same.
So what?
These are some examples of how Korea is. It deals with Korean kids to accept a different language, which is one of the biggest components of our culture.
I was at, on Saturday, I was a judge at this big speech contest, maybe you know of it, the nature speech contest. After that, I was invited by the Koreans to go have the dinner. While we were sitting there, one of the ladies asked me, "Do South Africa have a 4 seasons?" So, I said, yes, we do. Maybe the colors of the leaves are not as distinctive as here, but we do. Okay, Korean family life. Living in Korea for Koreans is inevitable that there is too much of competition, facing the fact Korean parents tend to have less children nowadays, preferably 2 or maybe even 1. This trend has led them to focus more on their children's welfare later in their lives, which includes giving the best education. As a matter of fact, in Korea, studying has been considered as a virtue to lead to success. However, as you probably experienced and know, if kids don't want to study, you can't really force them to do so. For Korean kids, they get pretty much everything they want from their parents. So obviously, there is no motivation for them to do something or anything. The reality is they end up going to school and doing extra curriculum, like going to private academies, with no motivation whatsoever. So the kids you see at school and even help ones are the ones without motivations. So there is no wonder for you to feel exhausted and frustrated when teaching them. The view of psychology in Korea. You might be standing in your classroom and think, this kid needs some serious help, and this kid is such a dreamer, or this kid definitely has ADHD. He needs some meds to calm him down. I want you to know, maybe in your culture, a lot of emphasis are being put on helping students by seeing psychiatrists or giving Ritalin to kids who are hyperactive. However, Koreans do not value it as much as you. Again, here we have a fish in the bowl situation. Let's just accept this and continue to be good to the kids. We are not their main teachers, and we are not doctors. Therefore, try to be really discreet in what you do and say about your students. It's better to hint than to diagnose. Rather ask your co-teacher, what do you think about this boy is acting like this? And let her handle it. You can encourage her to handle it a little bit more if she doesn't respond. But do not just go diagnose. Be careful what you say. Future goals, getting a good job in Korea, competition and pressure in society. Talking about competitiveness is a norm and became a religion to say you need to study hard to land a good job, otherwise you can't survive. So my husband, he was so passionate about this topic, he talked a lot. He said, in Korea, when there's Olympics and a Korean player gets silver medal, stands on the podium, then that Korean player, that athlete, looks super depressed and he looks like a sinner. Why is that? Because you didn't get gold. But what do we do in our countries? Yeah, she made it to the Olympics! Wow! We are all there with flags, screaming, even if he gets last place in running around 400-meter track. We're still glad he finished it. So this affects the culture enormously. Okay, however, flip side of it, when the kids are being forced, there is no motivation for them to do anything. They just want to rest. I understand the complaints, how frustrated you are, because you are the ones motivating and keeping them motivated. Schedules of Korean students. As you all probably know, Korean kids go to school. They go to school. That's what we did. We went to school. After school, what do? Maybe school sports? Maybe some little acting class or a chess class or something. Then we went home, we played. And mom would say, did you do your homework? Oh, yes, mom. Maybe you rushed through your homework quickly and showed your mom and relaxed again, watched TV. This is not the life Korean kids have. They go to school, hug on, hug on, hug on, hug on, hug on, hug on. They homework, 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 and eat in between and sleep. You need to acknowledge that. It's easy for us to focus on our little bubble of teaching. We stand in the class and we say, oh, you didn't do the homework. Why did you not do the homework? I asked you. Don't you respect me? But do we ever put ourselves in their shoes and think about that side of it? Oh, there's a little boy called Young-hoon in my school. Young-hoon, once, he had a fever of 39.5. His mother called saying, I'm sorry, Young-hoon cannot come to class today because he's really sick. Then she added, she said, but Young-hoon is so angry at me for keeping him because he wants to come. So this boy is super sick, but he wants to be there. So we must be doing something right. So that's what you need. You need to be such a good teacher that your kids want to come to your class. I have another boy, his name is Jung-hoo. Jung-hoo's mother said to me, he always talks about our school. So she knows English Hagwon is his favorite. He doesn't like to go to any of the other Hagwons, but English Hagwon, that's his thing. So it's possible. You start small. Start with one, then convert the others. Do students need homework? What's your answer? Do they need homework?
Yes.
No. Who said yes? Why?
Because if you just go home and sit around all the time, you have nothing to do, then you're going to get lazy.
Do they have time to sit around all day?
I mean, they have time to play on their cell phones all day, so they'll just have time to sit around.
Wow, yeah, okay. I'm glad they have a little bit of cell phone time now. English academies in general. Okay, now I have my own Hagwon. So I'm on a different side now. I was a teacher like you, so I understand your side. Now I'm on the other side as well, so I can give you a little bit of a balance there. So Hagwons are not only learning institutes, but also businesses. And I don't know if I should share all the financial stuff, but if your students don't come often, then some parents do not need to pay for the month. Did you know that? So if Korea has long